Hi everyone, this is Kanika back again with another episode of the Insights Lounge. And today we have with us Dr. Suruchi Mittal. Hi Suruchi.
Hello. Hi, Kanika.
Dr. Suruchi is a seasoned entrepreneur with 25 years of experience in academia, corporate governance, and policy advocacy. In a prior role as the Chief Industry Officer at Invest India, she has led some strategic investments in the field of textiles. She has also led initiatives to promote innovation, sustainability, and inclusive growth in India and globally. Prior to this, she was also working as an independent consultant, and she has worked with some leading textile brands in India and abroad. She's also served as a senior faculty at NIFT for about 15 years. She has diverse experience across UK, Europe, Australia, Bangladesh, India, Jordan, and Ethiopia, and way more. So, this introduction has already gone longer than what I could have shortened it to. So, you know that we have a star with us today. Welcome again, Dr. Suruchi.
Thank you, Kanika. Thanks for this kind words and introduction. Really pleased to be with you all. Thank you. Thank you, Mindcorp also.
So, given her background in textiles, the topic for the episode today is, of course, textiles as a catalyst for India's growth. So, that's what we're going to talk about. So, Dr. Suruchi, given that you've had such a fascinating career, across academia, across policy advocacy, as an entrepreneur as well, so, we know that right now tech is spanning all across. It's like the government that is sort of bottoming all industries. How do you see that? What role can India's tech startup ecosystem play in transforming textiles today? And in what ways? Maybe if you could share a couple of examples.
Kanika, a lot of startups which are coming into tech segment and are really, really helping the textile industry and the garment industry, the apparel supply chains to really integrate and really work in that direction. And I really want to tell you that so basic, I would start with basic integrations wherein, for example, a startup into a task understanding of the factory, segregating the tasks which have been done in the factories of garment industry and then putting them together with respect to systematic thinking or the systems thinking. That is what one has done. I think
Mm,
those startups are really making a lot of noise and difference. The
mm,
ERPs that people are building, the new ERPs that people are building are really making a lot of difference. The understanding
mm,
of traceability techs are really making a lot of difference. Then even you would be surprised to know that even tech has been integrated on a cutting floor. So understanding of how a fabric cannot be wasted and how it impacts the cost of a product on a whole, I think those are the techs which are really helping. And yesterday only I saw that Shahi has signed MOU with WFX, and they are making a lot of difference into their apparel. So that's also one of the startups. This is from the
mm,
production floor. Now, if we go onto the supply side or on the consumer side, a lot of startup techs, frankly, are helping to reduce the returns into the supply chains. So, for example, we still struggle with what is an XL and what is an L, what is a M. The sizing becomes a lot of concern for garment industry, and there are a lot of returns that we see with the e-commerce or the smart commerce these days. So a lot of e-commerce are also adapting to technology so that they can reduce their returns, and
mm,
these are some areas where one is working through. While if we look at what the academia is working on, so academia is looking into 3D, AR, and AI tools. And I think it has to be a handshake between academia and industry, not just to research, but also to bring the technology which is now needed to a traditional manufacturing sector, which actually employs. It is the second employment generator for us and a contributor to our GDP. So I think these are a few technology areas.
very interesting. And I know there's so much happening, and there's so much still that can happen. I think there's a huge scope wherein tech can play a major role in making things more efficient. Like you just gave an example of maybe reducing or eliminating returns, standardizing things, and so on.
Yeah.
Suruchi, cotton is core to India. What models are showing promise in fixing the India's cotton story from farm to shelf?
While cotton is definitely taking a lead right now, and government is paying a lot of attention to organic cotton and actually working towards kasturi cotton and making the kasturi cotton very, very efficient, not just in terms of per yield that we get, but
Mm,
also in terms of the output that we are expecting from the cotton for the manufacturing of the garments, etc. So government is playing a big role in that and emphasizing work into that basically cotton to retail incentives, I think, should be looked into in this framework, not just for export linked ones, but also for the domestic market. I also feel that Indian brands should be given some kind of innovation grants who are working into the field of cotton,
Mm,
because cotton right now, we say that we are one of the largest producers of the cotton, but the
mm,
type of cotton that we require in the retail, or probably the quality of the cotton that we require for the
mm.
manufacturing of the garments, I think we need to really work towards those innovations and towards those kind of interventions, not just from the government side, but also I think the private players like Better Cotton, Cotton Connect, etc., can actually work into that.
Very interesting. In fact, I was going to talk about Make in India next, and you've sort of already touched upon it.
Yeah,
So I'm going to jump into that. So, from Make in India to Create in India, what do you
right.
think is needed to embed IP, design, and sustainability in textiles? And we can take cotton's example if you would like.
Yeah, yeah. Cotton is surely core to India, and we cannot take away cotton from here. And governments actually talk about cotton as one of the core ingredient to build onto the garments, because till now we have been actually working into areas of woven garments
Mm,
and man-made fibers, etc. We are right now innovating, looking into that. So I think how a Better Cotton Connect initiative, which was into Vidarbha in Telangana, which actually worked into tech, soil data, drip irrigation, Guinness, and mills' commitment to traceability, sourcing, etc., and then
mm,
brands incentivizing the quality and the quantity of the whole thing. I think
mm,
Make in India is really, really giving a lot of credibility, not just to our PM Mitra parks, but the clusters that are actually coming up, which has plug and play facilities in various states, whether it is Bihar, Tamil Nadu, Odisha, not just for plug and play, but also giving space to innovation, tradition, and also bringing community resilience, wherein you are not just digitally connected, but also you have logistic support, you have access to e-commerce, marketplace, and
mm.
various other initiative to integrate our craft to mainstream fashion. So I think Make in India is really making a lot of initiatives in that perspective. I would also like to tell you, while you're talking about Make in India, that our PLI scheme not just was
Mm,
conceptualized for textiles, but there was significant feedback from MMS manufacturers that thresholds were too high for mid-size firms, etc.
mm,
And through structured engagement with organizations like Invest India, where I was, those thresholds were adjusted to allow mid-cap players, and it reinforced my belief that policy right now is a living instrument, and government is really, really listening to what exactly the stakeholders need, and they are taking a lot of initiatives to promote Make in India.
That's really interesting to know. And I mean, just a few days back, we saw Tesla opened their first store here, which has been
Yeah,
trying to come to India for a long time now.
yeah, absolutely.
So it's good to hear that from somebody who's worked right in the heart of the government at Invest India to see that no government is listening and they're trying to accommodate everything possible so that there's genuinely an effort.
Yeah, really, it is one of the remarkable and appreciative steps that government is really taking. And I would like to honestly tell you, I've seen meetings wherein a stakeholder says something and decision is taking there and then. People actually say, okay, please look into this problem and then let us know how, whether it is solved or not. So those kind of interventions by the senior stakeholders in terms of ministers and even the secretary, etc. And government is right now very, very aggressive, and for sure that we want to build in India, which is definitely a hub.
Wonderful. So, given all this experience of yours as an independent consultant, as a faculty at NIF, and then with the government, would you say that there are some states which are more future ready when it comes to integration of textile and tech?
I would honestly say that each state is putting in definite effort. But we did a very interesting exercise at Invest
Mm,
India, wherein we actually said that which states are ready for what clusters. For example, textiles, we have few clusters which are actually mushrooming and growing. For few
mm,
manufacturing, like for example, semiconductor, for EVs, etc., some clusters are
mm,
growing. So I would like to say that right now, all the sectors, all the states are growing wonderfully well. But of course, a few states which are ahead of the other states would be Tamil Nadu, Telangana, and Gujarat, wherein Tamil Nadu definitely have a deep expertise in knitwear sustainability, logistics, wherein we have Tirupur, coming up in a very strong way. Telangana, which is proactive government, where also we have upcoming mega parks, integrated value chain mindset, etc. Odisha, we are seeing a lot of investments into textile, categorically textile parks. Gujarat, which
Mm.
is also leading into cotton belt and investing into tech textiles. A real
Mm.
shift is happening when these states plug into national digital infrastructure and export readiness. And also Gujarat and then Bihar is also ready. Maharashtra is also. So I'm just saying that a few are pushing themselves further more aggressively, but I think are we are all ready for the clusters. But yes, for sure, you would find the clusters kind of readiness. Cotton will be, let's say, Gujarat belt, Maharashtra belt, then MMF will be somewhere else, etc. Manufacturing of denims or wovens will be in, let's say, in some other state, etc. So I think it's a very, very brilliant and a good time for people to see not just inwards but also outwards, and also the brands which are coming to the country
Mm.
should act. And between all these tariffs, etc., while India has right now even 26% tariff across which against various other countries, which is Bangladesh, Vietnam, I think we not just have a chance to prove ourselves to be more competitive, but I think our readiness is also very, very well integrated at this point of time.
That's really good to hear. Actually, would you like to talk about one rural initiative that sort of shows what how to include innovation and how does it look like?
So I remember that a cluster in Varanasi where we worked
Mm.
with weavers and tech partners and designers to create QR coded saris that told the story of an artisan. And when that product was sold internationally, the pride, the identity, and income, totally everything changed. And innovation actually served dignity at that point of time, not just profit for each one. So I think this is
Mm.
one of the areas. I think now it has become a very interesting, how do I say, a dignity motif in a garment, that there is a QR code and you can look at the story of an artisan. It is a
Mm.
beautiful blend. And I would really like to tell you that one of the projects we I also saw at Invest India, wherein it was done by one of the other team members, integration of technology weaves. So I
Mm.
think a lot of work is blending. And I feel
Mm.
that the young entrepreneurs who are moving with technology into understand the business, integrate it with the traditional understanding. And I think it is blending it very, very well.
Do you think that there are some things that can be done so as to make India a very ethical sourcing destination? You mentioned QR code as an example.
Yeah, I feel that, like, for example, while I was heading Center of Excellence for Khadi also at NIFT, which has been started, I feel that we were talking a lot about the ethical India label,
Mm.
wherein our own Khadi, which is a very well-known brand, nobody needs to sell it because we are known for our Khadi. People sell that Khadi without the label of Khadi. It has been taken up by a lot. So I think a national ethical India label with verified traceability, artisan wages, and zero waste commitments, I
Mm.
think that can be one of the real anchor to not just bring the investment from the global brands into social impact production models, but
Mm.
also for the export support for brands that source from verified ethical clusters. I think it can really build on to.
I mean, we recently saw an example which everybody's talking about, the Kolhapuri chappals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I saw yesterday there was a news that, the Prada team has come to understand. Yeah. Yeah.
With Kolhapur finally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they visited earlier as well. They didn't.
I am sure. I'm sure. But I think it's time to make ethical noise about what we do and how we do it. And I think we should be very proud of the the kind of intelligence, Indianness, and the gamut of uh,
Mm.
horizontally what we bring as a country. So we not just bring crafts, ethical handlooms, handicrafts, we bring garments in terms of woven, knits, we bring technology. I think we have so much that we are offering to the world, but we need to really put it in a more systemic manner.
Correct, correct.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit and I'm going to bring up sustainability, which is, I mean, it's not just a buzzword, it's pretty much a need right now and across industries. How can a digital first fashion, which we see so many of right now, which has also given rise to this fast fashion concept, so to speak, reduce waste while still being profitable? Do you have any ideas around that?
Yeah, I think that's a very, very right now thought process, which actually people are struggling also, and people are very happy about also. Why I say struggling, and what I'm trying to actually bring here is that, in sustainability there is a set of people who are looking at how do we reduce waste, what is it that we can do to recycle or upcycle the garments, how can we make it a fiber, what is it that we can do with plastics and make it a fiber and make it bags and various other things that we want to do. But there is
Mm.
another side which the consumer feel that it is cost effective, which is fast fashion, wherein you can get a 200 rupees a t-shirt, which actually feels very nice at that point of
Mm.
time. But what is it that is creating, that is building onto it, is far more painful. So I think we need to have a blend wherein sustainability definitely by design should become a requirement, and it can actually look into integrating the technology that we can actually work upon. So for example, we can look into 3D sampling cuts, which actually reduces fabric waste by 80 to 90%, digital
Mm.
designs which can actually archive the preserved crafts and help scale without dilution, etc., the virtual showcases of reducing carbon heavy fashion weaves. And if we embed digital steps into design pedagogy, I think one can lead into a world which can actually have a low carbon couture rooted in craft, rooted in those kind of things. I think these can be a few initiatives that one can talk. And of course, consumer has to be aware to understand that what is, and also various moves like Marks and Spencer come, give me your old Marks and Spencer clothing, which we can,
Yeah.
so these kind of initiatives, bring your bottle, we can fill it up by Body Shop, etc. So I think these are good initiatives one can actually look into for sustainability.
Yeah. There are a lot of big brands which are now, especially there are so many regulations in EU already. We're just waiting for them to come to India and the rest of Southeast Asia because, I mean, this is the hub of textiles where brands are now forced that a certain percentage of the material that they use for creating the end products has to be recycled material. We know this because we already work with some of our clients and who are pretty much working on these initiatives, and they're already sort of building a value chain around it by either partnering with a technology company or partnering with collection company, things like that. And I hope that we see that in India very soon and it becomes a thing.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important aspect. For example, I'll tell you one of the policies in Make in India. I'll just integrate it how, government has really put in that effort. So, for example,
Mm.
when a retailer comes to India, government actually says that, 30% of the manufacturing that you have to get it from our country. When you
Mm.
sell it, you have to also get it manufactured in India, which actually helps to boost the production for the country. So I think
Mm.
these kind of steps, which actually are compulsory and important, should be well integrated into the policy so that
Mm.
everybody who's doing that. And probably what also I feel is that one can also look into fund design R&D cells, which actually helps the clusters and parks to look into sustainability aspects. Maybe an IP protection can be looked into, maybe a production linked incentives, which is not just for output but also for circularity, innovation, design
Yeah.
exports, which actually will promote what we are talking about in terms of sustainability for sure.
In one of our previous podcasts, one of our guests said that, frankly, technology can actually help reduce a lot of production waste itself.
Yeah.
So everybody's talking about the waste generated from the end products, but even at the production stage, if we start integrating technology to do virtual sampling, to do sampling based on the type of material to be used, you don't actually have to create end products and then reject them. That itself could save a lot of government waste and prevent landfills. What I was thinking about was that how can an MSME, and there are so many MSMEs in India which are focused in textile, how can they sort of integrate such kind of technology affordably? Is there a way that government can sort of step in, or institutes like NIFT can sort of help them?
Yeah. So I think what you've touched upon is a very interesting thing that, MSME formulates a larger part of our whole ecosystem. And there is a lot of work which is also happening to promote MSMEs, to help
Hmm.
MSMEs. So I would just like to answer that, we can have the enablers like shared technology labs in every textile cluster. We used to have Weaver Center. We still have Weaver Centers in our country, and every state has a Weaver Center, etc., which is like a shared resource. You don't have
Hmm.
to put in a lot of. So government can build onto shared technology labs, which can be well integrated with the academia. The researches are happening. When you have an output, then MSMEs can actually take advantage of those understandings and how they can integrate. A well structured thought can be given to them, a well
Hmm.
rounded learning can be given to them, they can be trained into that. And there can be also public private digital commons which can actually have open design access tools, etc. One can also look at sandbox incentives for startups, MSME to do trial tech with reduced risk, etc. And I think one can think of it as a free and open software, but for fashion, shared, scalable Indian retrospective that one can actually bring the whole ecosystem together. So, academia is doing research, brands are doing some kind of innovation, international brands coming and giving some understanding, and then a collaboration. I think this can really work in that direction, I feel.
Very interesting. So, I mean, we are waiting for something like this to come through.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure, these are not just discussions which are happening in closed doors, but all the efforts are also being done. Government is listening. Ministry is really working very, very closely with MSME, the APC, ATGC. They're really working very closely with it. The initiatives like Bharat Tex,
hmm.
the Bharat Tex has been one of the most beautiful initiative by Ministry of Textile. And I really want to tell you that never ever we had seen from farm to government to MMFs to fabric to everything was technology, everything on just one platform. We actually felt it because the kind of venues, the kind of people that said that we want to be part of Bharat Tex, and the kind of international traction that we saw, I think I'm very sure these kind of interventions, these kind of thought processes by the government are really
Hmm.
making a lot of difference. So I am sure this also will lead to various outputs.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If you had to design an incentive framework for a brand-led investment, what would you include?
That's a tough one. That's really a tough one because we can actually think of various things for sure. But surely, I would think that if I have to give a incentive to brand and to talk about, so one is that, so how do you map? You understand your own gaps, in your own ecosystem, and then you
Mm.
understand what is this brand bringing in, and what is the kind of strength do they have, etc. So I feel a lot of international brands have mastered the understanding of how productivity can be channelized or increased, or get the best of productivity in the factories, which our factories are still struggling with. I think the
Mm.
first would be that the ideation, the narration, the integration of how the productivity supply chain can be smoothened. The second would be innovation of fabrics, which are actually not just helping the consumer, but also now delivering a value. to the whole ecosystem, reducing of waste, like how you just said, for sustainability.
Mm.
And I think my core right now will be on these three aspects, because these three things will really make our own ecosystem into textiles very, very
Mm.
strengthened.
Like you said, that there are a lot of international brands who've actually achieved so much more. You often talked about that India needs a brand like Uniqlo, like a homegrown brand, full stack. What are your thoughts there?
So I think Uniqlo is a brilliant brand which has not just achieved uh, design, data, and dignity. Uniqlo, these are three words that I really want to talk about. The simplicity also, which with which the brand comes. It invests upstream in fabric innovation and
Mm.
downstream in customer experience, you know. And to localize, I think we need end-to-end investment from the seed in Vidarbha to the shelf in Tokyo, maybe. And that's possible with a new class of entrepreneurs who blend fashion, technology, and purpose. And like how you were asking me the incentive framework also, I would say that we can also provide these kind of innovation grants to our Indian brands to go global and to learn that how a brand can be so simple in their design and but so high in their value that they
Mm.
provide.
And you're right. Since Uniqlo has actually opened up, like I think I have so many Uniqlo brand because they're just like basics, and you
Yeah.
can do so much with them. And I like the simplicity of even how it is stacked up. It's so
Yeah.
clear. This is what you
Yeah.
want, you'll find it. You're not trying to. It's like you're not trying to confuse me with like this is the trend, so go for this. There are things that what could be like top two or three things that if a global brand has to come to India, that they would want from India to actually come here and be successful.
Yeah. So I think when we talk of global brands who are coming to India and they really are looking to be successful, to be very honest, uh, what we have heard, and I would like to tell you honestly about what they are talking about. They are
Mm.
actually talking about a plug and play industrial infrastructure, which actually gives them an integrated textile park, a
Mm.
complete value chain, which helps them a
Mm.
logistics integration with dedicated freight corridors, reducing lead time for exports, and
Mm.
also a digital connectivity, which actually helps them not just in terms of integrate. So, for example, if somebody is putting their factory in Odisha as
Mm.
a brand or as a exporter, they would
Mm.
like to have a MSME also near to them who's actually helping them fabricate various things that a factory requires. So I think that digital connectivity also, not just
Mm.
within that PM Mitra Park, which we are promoting right now, but a
Mm.
detailed understanding of probably that I can, from that place to a MSME, I can have a digital connectivity also for
Mm.
for my business. So I
Mm.
think these are very important things that a brand are asking for, any brand which is coming here. And also
Mm.
at the same time, I think some benefits which they are looking forward to. I would like to tell you that all the states are very open to sit on the table to negotiate about the subsidies, about various other aspects, because what you bring on table and people
Mm.
and government is very, very flexible right now to
Mm.
understand that where we lack in, what is it that you need, if in case there is a kind of gap also, we would like to fill it up.
Yeah.
Government is also open in these this processes. So I think these are three four things which a brand needs, international brand needs to be in India.
Mm.
So that's one thing. I think one more thing that one critically ask is the IP protection, even for their fabric innovation, etc. Because they
Yeah.
bring a lot of newness in the
Mm.
ecosystem. So they are
Yeah.
also looking for that.
I agree. I agree. You were talking about clusters earlier, and you touched upon like a park. What do you think, mega parks or micro clusters? What's the right model for India?
Kanika, we already have micro clusters.
Mm.
We are already looking at our businesses which are moving aggressively into D2C space right
Mm.
now. I feel that India right now needs bigger clusters. That is my thought process. Though micro clusters also sweep into the macro parks, etc. But at the same time, I think if we are thinking of competing with our neighboring countries who have bigger clusters, who have bigger factories, who have, I think we need to bring that kind of a mindset also, and
Mm.
also a place wherein we can also tell the world that India is ready with these bigger factories and the bigger infrastructure and the bigger ecosystem. Because right
Mm.
now we've always, as a country, looked inwards, our
Mm.
own domestic needs, our own things, etc. And if we only go into D2C space, then I think the larger macro parameters shift, and that's a place of concern for a country as such.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I feel that a blend of two definitely will work, but I think we need to put right now at this point of time, at this juncture, we need to really put a lot of effort into the bigger parks and the mass production factories, the bigger factories that we must look into.
And do you believe it's the government which who has to play a larger role here?
I think it has to be a handshake. It cannot be only government, because you know the trade, you know the skill, you know the strength, the private players, and
Mm.
government can facilitate,
Mm.
and I always have felt that alone government, or larger play, or smaller play, government will facilitate, but government will would really require somebody who's having a grassroots problem should just get up and say, okay, these are the initiatives that we are taking. I really want to tell you, Kanika, like, for example, I'm moving away from textile right now for a minute, but
Mm.
if we look into our toy industry, because toys was also with me at Invest India, so I would just like to tell you that it's a beautiful handshake between private and government sector. The private players are really taking those initiatives to build a bigger parks for toy clusters, not just from Chinnapatnam or etc., wherein the artisans are working onto these toys. But now the mushrooming of the sector with the
Mm.
private players who have actually done this work but now want to increase their scale. So it's a
Mm.
story of scale. So government is pushing that scale, giving
Mm.
you all that what you need, because you sit very closely with the government to build onto the policies, etc. But that
Mm.
initiative, that handshake has to be there.
Both from both hands. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah.
Switching gears again, Suruchi, a little bit more about tech and metaverse. So we know that metaverse is sort of, it's not a digital gimmick anymore. People have started understanding it much better. Initially, it seemed like it's like a video game. You can just go and participate in it. Let's talk about that how Indian brands and weavers can actually leverage this mixed reality and immersive platforms to build a cultural narrative. We already see big brands doing it. We already see this a lot in, Japan, China, probably some in some metros in India. But how can Indian weavers, Indian brands leverage it to use it for storytelling and to maintain their ethical and ethnic sourcing from coming from India?
Yeah, yeah. I think what you just said is so true and apt, that spatial commerce, immersive retail are evolving rapidly. And right now, I think we are really not experimenting the way we should, I think.
Mm.
And I just feel that, for example, in at NIFT, I think it is
Mm.
a long backstory, not just today, but we have integrated a lot of efforts into retail stores. And when we teach retail to students, we've talked about immersive UX, we've talked about how there can be smart pop-up formats. I still remember that one of my student who was doing a research project into
Mm.
technology, and she actually talked about the pop-up retail. So we not just built at that point of time a smart pop-up format which integrated AR to try on and interactive craft demos, and how the sizing, like how I was just telling you the
Yeah.
sizing chart. So I We wrote a paper onto that how your sizing can be integrated with AR and what you can do to reduce returns and your supply chain can be integrated well there. Then I think let Indian brands, for example, reimagine a showroom wherein you have a immersive storytelling zone. So, for example, this has been my very close to heart kind of a project. Khadi, for example, we have a such beautiful story narration in Khadi. Why can't we have a Khadi showroom which actually talks about how Khadi started, what Khadi did? I think we were far more sustainable, much before than anybody even thought of, what is sustainability. Probably we never knew the, maybe, I don't know, maybe the ancestors knew the word also. But I'm just saying that while we talk so much of sustainability, we already have so much that can be integrated with technology. And retail is no longer about only footfalls, it's also about emotional resonance that can be brought in by, what,
Yeah.
or even, we've done so beautiful projects, let's say even a sari, even
Mm.
a talking about an artisan, a weave, a thought process, where is it coming from. I think we have so much to. And I want to tell you, Kanika, that our crafts also, for example, Sanji as a craft was always a storytelling between the pastime of Radha and Krishna.
Mm.
How Radha used to wait for Krishna and used to make those patterns.
Mm.
How Pichwai is a fabric which talks about a story narration. Our
Mm.
crafts have always talked about those. But how beautiful it can be when these kind of technologies like an immersive or a AR or a AI builds around all of this, it will
Mm.
beautifully blend into our own systems. Yeah.
Wonderful. All of this is so exciting, and I can't wait for things to unfold. Like you said, Bharatech is a wonderful initiative. I think we've already seen two editions of it, right? And looking forward for more and seeing a lot of industry government partnerships happening and a lot of tech being leveraged.
And I just want to add that I'm
Mm.
sure this is one of the most appropriate time for
Mm.
the industry to look outwards and to really blend. I think we have a very beautiful opportunity.
Would you want to talk about a shining moment that has really stood out for you?
Kanika, the experiences from academia to policy integration to design interventions and integration of value chains, etc. I think the moments when somebody has come up to me and said that your class probably in that year made that kind of a difference to my personality, or a worker in a garment factory has come up to me and has said your learnings in the factory not just helped me professionally but personally also I have improved. The areas of where we've made an impact onto the crafts and which has given the livelihoods to the craftsmen and has really helped the craft to grow, that moment has really made a lot of difference to my existence. And I really feel that those kind of interventions always make you feel satisfied that your work is not just impacting people in professionally but to their personal lives as well.
It's a very touching experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think? How big textile can play a role in India's economic growth? We are already being touted as soon going to become number three.
Yeah, yeah. So, Kanika, we've already been contributing 4% to the GDP, and I think we are second largest employer as a textile ecosystem. We do that.
Mm.
I think, as I just told you, that now is the time and it is the right time, frankly, for the
Mm.
textile industry where not just the macro parameters, but also the micro parameters look ready, where
Mm.
not just the macro parameters with respect to tariffs, etc., but also our own readiness in terms of states. As I told you, we are ready.
Mm.
We are also seeing a lot of enthusiasm with our
Mm.
private stakeholders. So I
Mm.
think now is the time and it is the right time, like how our prime minister also says.
And if I may ask, what is your moonshot vision for India's textile sector by 2030?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. So frankly, for my vision, I just want to tell you that I am looking at intertwining of technology into our sector, a
Hmm.
very well-led role play that I'm looking at. I'm looking at IP protection for virtual designs. I'm
Hmm.
looking at that are export codes that get recognized for digital textiles, etc. I'm looking at more incubation centers where fashion meets not just gaming, storytelling. It also helps us our exports to include pixels and not just threads.
Hmm.
So those are my thoughts with sustainability for sure, 100%. It not just creates a loud noise outside the country, but also within inside, wherein we help the livelihoods at the grassroots level, artisans, workers, and the profits are shared as a PPP model as well.
Wonderful. Can't wait to see all of this unfold. And yeah, I loved the thoughts that you've shared. Only somebody who has this kind of deep experience and thus this wide an experience across government and private sectors can talk about such things. So lovely, Dr. Suruchi. Thank you. It was great speaking with you today. And there's so much more actually which I wanted to talk about. We'll probably do another edition of our conversation where I'll focus on completely different aspect of textiles.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much, Kanika, for your time and for even getting deeper into. And I really appreciate, startups like yours who are into research and consumer understanding are also looking at textiles, which, a lot of times people say it's a traditional sector, but I'm very happy that startup like yours also are looking at that how fashion interweaved and what are the kind of right steps that each one of us can take, and I think that's the beauty, and I'm very sure we have a larger and a brighter future to look at from textiles perspective.
Yes, yes. Can't wait.
Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone for listening in. And I'm going to leave Dr. Suruchi's LinkedIn profile in our description. So if you want to reach out to her, please feel free to do so. And for more such content, please subscribe and do leave your comments for what kind of content you're looking for. Thank you so much again for tuning in.